Hey guys, how's it going? Ghost Rich here today, and we're going to be installing the new AC unit, radiator, and the new intercooler from Unitronic. Woo! So what's going to happen is I'm going to be building it. It's going to go from there. It's going to be, because the car was in an accident, kind of a backwards video. If you're going to be seeing how you should install this intercooler, just basically do it backwards, I guess, for removing. It's going to be very opposite. Usually you watch a video that you see how to disassemble, and then you kind of do the guessing work for reassembly. Well, this time you're going to get to see how to reassemble. Anyways, enjoy the video. The first 2 or 3 clips, you're going to notice that, well, my microphone wasn't plugged in, so I narrated over myself. You can see here I'm just apparently staring at some pipes. Oh, look. This is what comes in the box when you buy the Unitronic kit. This right here is a band clamp. Throw on probably a 7 or an 8 mil and loosen it. And then what can happen is you can pop that off of the pipe. And look, boom, just pry it off. Be careful not to break your mounts, because that would suck. Yes, beautiful pipes, beautiful pipes. I'm missing the front end of my car. Let's see if I'm going to show some useful stuff. Oh look, another one. But this one has a quick disconnect. This is what the adapter's for in the bag. So just shove a flat blade in there, pop the clip a little bit like so, and pop that out. You're going to notice that there is a gasket on that pipe. Make sure you transfer that gasket to the adapter that you're going to pop out. By a gasket, I mean the O-ring. I don't really mention that. I just show you this really special looking, nice looking pipe. Oh look, let's compare it. Hey, there's that adapter as it runs away from my hands. Awesome. Look, it slips inside here. Oh look, I haven't transferred the gasket yet. But, like I said, make sure you transfer that green gasket from one pipe to the Unitronic one. Slip it in here. It's going to probably need a little bit of lube. If there's any radiator fluid around or anything, just maybe rub a little bit. Probably shouldn't use radiator fluid. Use oil. Anyways, I was able to squeeze it in without any fluids. Go me. Still yammering about how cool these pipes look. And look, that one fits there. So make sure the elbow sits like that. Make sure you don't tighten these pipes until after the intercooler is in, so that way, when you go to tighten those clamps, your pipes will be in the right position. Oh look, we have a couple new O-rings, and those 2 new O-rings are for if you're doing a radiator swap out. If you take a look, I'm also installing a new radiator. I'm telling you, slip in right there. Also, do it to the top one. They sit on the inside. Use a hook pick to pull them out and then slip the new seals in. Really easy to do. If you're doing AC, there's also an O-ring on there. Make sure you change both O-rings on the AC. Now that we've gone through all the O-rings. If you take a look, this is your shiny new radiator. Look how beautiful it looks. Also, if you look, I changed that green O-ring on the AC, which I'm showing you. I'm now telling you we have to transfer the mounts. So make sure you grab these little mounts off your old one and you slide them on. Note the direction. They will only slip on in one direction in one way. And you'll see the arrow points out like so. And I'm showing you the rubber mount and how it's done. And see that screw in the front? That screw comes forward and slips into there. So we're going to back that screw out. I only have it there. take the new hardware. You want to bolt on your new radiator. And if you're like me and replacing your radiator, make sure you bolt the new shroud onto your radiator using the existing 4 screws. Wow, look how good that looks with the aftermarket AC condenser. Once again, bolted it on using the new hardware. Once we've sunk these on, if you look down here, you'll have these pegs. These fit into the rubbers on the bottom. You'll see some rubbers on the bottom there. So you just have to make sure those are pre-installed. I'll show you what they look like in a second. When we get up to here, see those 2 little rubber pieces? Those are the ones I'm talking about. Now, if you're going to get prepared to lift this in, remember to have your 2 bolts like that ready to go on a 16 mil. Doesn't necessarily have to be on a ratchet, but what you're going to do is you're going to move this closer. We're going to slip the radiator pack, an intercooler pack, into those rubber grommets so it sits in and then slips forward, because the 2 screws are tied in the front here, just like the 2 that I showed you to remove before. So at this point, this is where fun happens. I totally suggest if you have 2 people, then use them, because it's going to be really, really handy. I always like to hold the center brace. Don't try to hold it by the headlight braces, because if you don't want to break any of the plastic. This is the most solid piece of the whole thing other than the rebar in the front. So if you can get them both to hold the rebar, basically what we're going to do next is, like I said, we're going to move this close, slip that pack into here, and then pegs in, slide backwards so it semi-locks in, and then we'll put those 2 screws in the front. Before you lift it completely up, another thing to make sure connectors are all out of the way. The reason why is if you go and you don't make sure the connectors are out of the way, you're going to have a really bad day. Once those 2 screws are in, this is now firmly in place. So if you're taking it out, you're just going to remove those 2. And then with this one, of course, you would have taken it, squeezed it, and popped it out. Clip that in on the side right here, bring it up, bring it right through right here, because that's where it's going to lock in, and then just sink this in onto here and press it in and it'll lock in. From this point, I like to leave everything loose until I have all the sensors in. So this one, if we take a look, is going to go, and it's going to get hooked into this little box down here when we're done. So we're not going to really worry about this one for right now. Just leave this right here. You could lock that in now if you wanted to, but I wouldn't suggest it. Then if you look down here, you're going to have this connector, which is going to plug in over there, and this little connector plugs into this connector right here, and this is your hood latch. So this tells you if your hood's open. So if you forget to connect this, you'll know because your hood will say that it's open. Now, what I like to do for the first connector, because it's the scariest one if you leave unplugged, is the airbag one. Just take the airbag one and slip it up, lock it in, and make sure you lock that little red thing back in. So that way you pull on it and it doesn't come out. Do the same on the other side. After you do that, all your airbags are now hooked up. So you don't really, that's your biggest worry, because if you start your system and that isn't lit up, you can get airbag codes. And that's why we pulled our battery. So from this point, you connect that connector. See how it's got a little square? You'll see there's a square on the headlight bracket. You just grab this and sink it in like that. This one, you're just gonna grab it, pull it, and you'll see it sinks the ball in like this. You sink the ball in, press this down so it locks in, and turn it sideways so it locks in like that. Look at this. There's a little rim on it, little ring. All you're gonna do is lock it back into that plastic, and look at that. Technically now, depending on how easy this wants to go, you might have to, let's see this, it might weave actually through this. Just taking a quick look. So I didn't take a good enough look. I might have to weave that through here, but if you look right here, it locks in on the back side right here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I should have gone through the frame. So I'm gonna take a look, weave it through here, and then lock it in so this, which is our hood prop,
or hood pop, as I should say. This connects to that handle inside the vehicle. If you don't connect that, you can't open your hood, so make sure you do that. Next, plug in your headlight. After your headlight, airbag, this connector for your trunk is hooked up. Feel there shouldn't be any more connectors on this side, up here. Next, make sure this one's hanging here, because this is the one that's going to go in your fog light and all that other fun jazz. So make sure it's just hanging near the wheel well here. And then next, if you wanted to, you could start connecting this side. I like to leave the bottom to last though. Just let this be, because let's just get everything up top first. So that's all in loose. For me, I've loosely done this. The whole reason why mine wasn't tucked into the frame along here is because I rebuilt the front end of this GTI, so I just forgot to tuck that in as I was putting the new rad support and stuff in. Next, we'll be coming over here. Again, make sure you plug in the airbag sensor. There's an AC sensor, which you need to plug in. And now we have airbag, AC, and that might be it on this side. There's the headlight. And then now just our airbag, which is just like the other side. It's harder to see on this side because of my old catch can, but that's it. For this side, the connector is flipped around, so the red tab is on the inside, where that tab is on the outside. So don't try to stick it back in the same way. Okay, my AC's down there. I'll plug that in once I go down there. Other than that, up here is looking good. Other thing I'm going to do while I'm up here is just slide in that last bolt. So if you're doing the radiator, at this point you would sink your radiator coupling back in and lock it in. And then of course, I'm going to plug our radiator back in. As you can see, put it over. You can see this is the lip. So you tighten that right there, so that way it's nice and tight. Do the same on the other side. Take a look over here. Whole side is done. Clips are locked in. Let's move to the final side, which is on the far side. The only clips that should be left unplugged are, well, one clip and one light bulb should be sitting there. Now we come over here. If you touch the AC lines to install a new AC unit, this is where we'll do it. I might even drop this horn out of the way. We'll see how much movement, just because this side has a little less room, because we have, I believe this is our windshield wiper fluid reservoir, but we will leave that for right now and let's get them in. If you're doing the AC lines like I am, you can renegotiate this AC line from up here. Make sure it's not on that side of the alternator. You want to make sure, again, it's on that side of the silver hose. Otherwise that belt will rub up against it and you'll have a bad day. So just make sure that this is right here, comes over like that. And the next thing to do is to come over and screw that in with your bolts. And I use that up here. I had one hand and one hand down there, and I was able to negotiate it so I could turn it to line that little pin up that's on the tip of the AC unit. And now this screw should just screw right in. With this piece, also make sure you put that green O-ring on it, which you just take off of one of the pipes right there. After you've tightened that clamp on, like there's just enough meat to get it on the other side. You might have a little bit of a gap in here, that's fine. Just tighten up the clamp right here, just like so. Now that we've gone ahead, we've tightened that up, we've tightened this one up, now we can put our horn back on. Now it's time to go over everything. Just go over everything, and what we're gonna do is start to tighten up our bumper bolts, or our last two. I ended up only leaving one, and then I put a second one in to more stabilize, but I haven't torqued them down to spec yet or anything. I'll give that to you in a second here. What you want to do though is just go around, make sure you have all your connectors in, make sure you have nothing that's going to get pinched or wires that are in between the bumper grooves or anything like that. And once we do that and we know everything's good, and if you did your AC, make sure your AC connector is back plugged in. That's on the side. But yeah, I mean, I've showed you how to connect every connector up until this point. The only other thing is I'm pretty sure I'm missing a part right here, which is for your bumper support. Because of that, I can't show you, but there should be two bolts there that you have to undo to be able to
be able to drop that section. So those are there's 4 bolts, 2 on that side, 2 on that side. Make sure you undo them when you're taking this front piece off. Torque wrench, after you've snugged up all the bolts, go ahead and hook this sucker up and then put this to 45 foot-pounds or 60 Newton meters. So if you're just doing the intercooler, at this point I would start your car, look for any leaks, look for any codes. You are going to get some codes when you first start your car, because what's going to happen is, I haven't done it yet, but once you put your battery back on, when you go to start it, you're going to get an ECS light, you're going to get a couple other ones. Drive around the block a couple times and they'll go away. You could drive them around the block like this. I only have my light zap strapped right here right now because I don't have a front bumper and I want to clear as many codes as I can at the moment. So what's going to happen is, if you don't have something plugged in, it's going to give you coolant temperature light. If you have done your radiator, if you haven't done your radiator and you get the coolant temperature light, make sure that you plugged in all your sensors. That's basically it. That's what we're doing. We're looking for sensors. I know, Mika. I'm so thorough with my videos. So now that I've gotten to this point, I'm going to put the negative on. And then after I do that, I'm going to also, since I did the radiator, put fluid in there. And basically, once I don't even have to start the car. There's an after run pump. It's going to start pushing fluid throughout the system. So what I've got to do is fill that up to the max line, go and put it into ACC. And then as it starts pulling the fluid, I just keep refilling. And then I start it and I refill. And then once it has enough fluid, it'll stop. And then once you drive around a little bit, more air bubbles will get out of the system, and you'll just continuously, what you're going to do is keep adding to it. For the AC system, you could do the AC charge system with the can. I highly don't recommend that. If you would do that, you just go off that barb right there. I would suggest, if you had a cracked AC condenser, all you do is you take your system to a professional. They hook up on their snap-on thing, it vacuum tests it, and then it fills it. If not, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that, then you can go ahead, and I think I have one of those AC testers right in here. Right here. All you do is you cap it on, you put the bottle on the other end, and then you start charging the system. I wouldn't suggest doing it, but there is that way. Before I even started the car, which I haven't started it yet, because you can see the negative still off, I was filling it, and literally it just kept draining in. I put in an entire jug already, and I've already put in a little bit more. So next is to put the negative on and then get the car started. From right here, take the AC guard. If you took that off or it's on your original AC, just slip it in. It slips in between the 2 grooves, and this just blocks it from rocks. Started it. Just gonna let it do its thing. I can hear my intake breathing right now like I'm used to. I've got some pretty old gas in here, so it's probably not running the best. So it does need to get some fresh stuff in here. Other than that though, she's running and our AC is going, and I can't wait to go for a rip once I get the fenders in and stuff. I need the fenders, the hood, the bumper, and then if there's any little side pieces, I don't know yet. But oh, I've also got the new badgeless grill, which is over here. So that'll look good once I get that bolted on. So basically the trick is you're gonna have air pockets. So you just basically wanna let this run, and then once the car reaches temperature, the thermostat will open, it'll cycle more fluid through, and you're just basically gonna let this go. One way to speed it up is to crank the heat, not the AC, unless you've recharged your AC system, because the AC won't do anything. So I would just go ahead and see, just got an air pocket. It dropped more, so I'm gonna refill, and you just continuously do that. Just let it run. I drove it up and down the block a couple times just to see, and went down a little bit more, topped it up a little more. From this point, just going to have to drive around a little bit and top it up as you go. But that should be it. So far, everything's looking good though. It's holding temperature. The temperature sensor is reading. One of my fog lights are out, but other than that, also, because you guys pulled the battery, make sure that you grab the steering wheel, go all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and then back, and then it should clear your light. It'll clear a couple lights, traction control and everything else. After you do that, you're ready to go. Perfect. Other than that, the GTI is working. We got the intercooler installed, eh, Meeks? She loves these little cardboard tabs. Hey, what's this? She's just gonna go ahead and eat the box. Anyways, thanks again to Mark and John at Unitronic for the intercooler. And really, Unitronic's got a really nice intercooler. If you're interested, take a look at it. Also, their software is really good. I'm stage 2+ with the 2 in the transmission. And yeah, Mika, do you have anything to add? Mika, do you have anything to add?
No, that's it? You gonna sign out the video? Thanks, Mika. Goodbye.